This video will show you some of the differences and similarities between Citect 7 and Citect 2018 R2. There are several new features. Because most upgrades do not utilize new features, they have not been identified. If you want to know more, you can refer to the What's New guide, available through the Aviva support website. You will need to create an Aviva login to access these pages. The upgrade process does have some gotchas, and is recommended that you involve an expert, such as Mezcon. The first difference you'll notice is the branding. It has moved from the Citect orange through Snyder green and is now Aviva blue. Citect Explorer and Citect Project Editor have been replaced with a single program called Citect Studio. To get into the editing environment, you need to start Citect Studio. This is found under the Aviva program group. The first thing you'll notice is that the programming environment has changed significantly. I suspect that as you get used to it, you'll grow to like it. Everything starts with the activity bar on the left-hand side. Selecting an icon on the activity bar displays the corresponding activity and activity menu. The first icon, projects, contains what you previously would do through Citect Explorer. Things like add and remove projects, backup and restore. At this point, you'll notice that the activity menu, which changes depending on which option you currently have selected on the activity bar, provides access to other menus. This access comes in two forms. I'll drop down on the activity menu, such as the restore command. The process of backup and restore has not changed, except that you can now back up and restore included projects into the one zipped file. The other method of accessing other areas is through the command bar. You may know there are various types of alarms, although most people only use digital alarms. So when you select alarms under System Model, you then get to select the type of alarm from the command bar. Another significant change you'll notice is that the editing space has changed from the form style to this spreadsheet style. There are some things you need to know. You can edit multiple rows at a time. Items are from all included projects, and you can move items between projects. When you delete an item, it is shown as struck through. You can copy and paste to external applications. Any changes are not committed until you save. You can discard your changes at any time. If you change to a different area, you are prompted to save or discard. If you've made changes that affect other areas of the system, like you've renamed a tag or anything, then when you save, you are prompted whether you want to make those changes at all through this save and cascade feature. Let's have a look at each of the activities or the icons on the activity bar. First is the projects activity. Here you'll find all the project level stuff. Previously, the highlighted project was the project that ran in runtime. This often caused issues, but now you have to specifically activate the one that you want to make active. Everything else is much the same. The computer editor, which is found under the Setup wizard, has a useful Citect ini comparison tool. If you right click, you can move multiple rows to the other side. The next icon is Topology. Did you ever get confused about the setup of servers and I/O devices? The opening page under Topology displays a useful diagram that shows which server is on which computer and which cluster. In this case, all our servers, although they're under different clusters, are on the same computer. All these computers are clients. The I/O device area lists all the devices in all included projects. The I/O device still exists. The board and port configuration is under components and mapping on the command bar. This is not obvious at first. Profiles is a new feature useful if that's the same project in different environments, such as multiple monitors. The next icon is the system model. This icon is similar to the topology icon, but if you think about the subtle differences, it makes sense. In this area, you will find the project specific configuration like tags, alarms, and trends. Under visualization, you'll find things here that affect the way the user interacts with the Citect application. Keyboard commands, menu commands, page thumbnails, symbols, etc. Security has changed a little bit in that roles have been added. Every user must belong to a role. Both roles and users can be coordinated with Windows groups and users. The next icon is standards. This includes old but rarely utilized features of common standards. One that is used in nearly every project is fonts for the fonts that are displayed on the alarm pages. The next icon is setup. This is the area where you'll find devices, events, and alarm categories. The next three icons are compile, run, and development. Or, sorry, not development, deployment. We'll come back to deployment later. The next two icons are the graphics builder and the Cycode editor. These functionally haven't changed very much, but you will notice that the icons have changed from this to that. That's just following the latest trend in all this type of things. The next icon is the find and replace. This tool hasn't changed since version 6. You can basically search for what you want in where you want. The next tool is the options, which is all the options that you used to find in the project editor. The next icon is licensing. We now have two forms of licenses. We have the floating soft license and we have the hard USB dongle license. The help file is a browser-based web system like most applications around. There is a little hidden menu in the Citect Studio, which can be very useful. At the very top of the activity bar is the Citect icon. This reveals some shortcuts to some specific non-project related folders and system information. If you need to get to the project user folder, then under projects you'll have this open in Explorer, which will open the the user directory. There's one more big difference between the two versions, the configurator. This is a separate application that needs to run after Citect is installed. This is the place to set up machine-to-machine security, including certificate, encryption, and other computer network functionality. Normally all the icons will be green when correctly configured. They may be yellow, which is a warning, or grey, meaning that they're not configured at all. Deployment is a useful feature of pushing projects to machines, but it does require the system management, the deployment server, and for every client to be registered with the deployment server. When deploying, there are lots of useful version histories and other useful tools. Deployment does not have to be used, and it's often more practical to use other methods such as backup restore or file copy. When deployment is used, a project needs to be compiled, then added to the deployment repository, and then pushed to the deployment clients. Let's have a look at deploying a project to a client. The user here is a Windows user that is authorized to use the deployment server. When you open the deployment activity, you're presented with a list of computers that has been registered on the deployment server. You can review all the projects and versions that can be deployed. Any of these can be pushed to any computer. You can add the currently active project Once added, it can be deployed to the client. So deploy, you select all the computers you want to deploy to, you select the project, you select your version number, you can review what's actually currently running on the machine, or if it's waiting to be activated or something like that, and you can choose the method to which you want to update. So once all those options are set, press deploy, and the status of the deployment is shown here. If you have any more questions about Citect, the latest versions, or upgrading, please contact us here at MESCON. Thank you for listening.